You're listening to episode 334 of the Super League Pod, where this week we're the Challenge Cup Pod, as we recap round 6 of the Cup with the help of your fan reviews. We'll talk about Wakefield's Magic Man, Leeds' men in hiding, and ideas for getting more crowds into the early Cup rounds. We've got all the other results, predictions for next week's games, an anniversary-themed quiz, and a perfect fit in Fev to talk about too. So get strapped in, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 334 of the Super League Pod. This week it is myself, Mark, and I'm joined by David. And David, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Mark. Nice to be back.
Short break for you, actually. You were supposed to be on in a week or so's time, but you've had to change it to be back a week earlier because you wanted to talk about a nice, easy cup win, I think.
That's right, exactly right. I've got to get it while we can, Mark. Managed to carefully avoid our first loss of the season, and then get in after a nice, relatively straightforward cup winning before we have to play anybody difficult again.
Well, it sounds like Big Walmsley will be back next week, so you'll be fine because it was no Walmsley, no win, wasn't it? It was the
no, it looked like that, didn't it? Yes,
the motto last week.
To this game, although the data points are rather limited at the moment.
Do you want to tell everyone about our friends Rob's Megastore?
Certainly will. Rob's Megastore stocks a wide variety of toys, stationery, arts and craft ideas, pet accessories, books and, of course, Rugby League birthday cards, which are very good. I've had one myself. Search for Rob's Megastore on eBay or find the link in our episode blog post on superleaguepod.com. SLP listeners can use the code SLP10. That's SLP10 at checkout to get 10% off any orders over £5, or enter SLP discount and give your 10% towards funding the SLP's running costs instead, which we'd be very grateful for.
Yep. So we've got Challenge Cup recaps coming up on the show today. They take the focus. Expect a mixed bag in terms of both fan reviews per game and amount of action we've seen per game, isn't it, David? I think that's
fair. Yeah.
Thing to say. There might be a bit of cheat sheet looking at League Express activity this week to find out what happened. We got a bit of late correspondence as well this week. That boosted the fan view numbers as we went along, so that's great. We'll touch on bits of news as well as we go through the show, and before making our guesses for next week's games. And I've got a date-themed quiz for you that's relevant to today's date, David, but that's as we record when no one will be listening today, on the 29th of March. But that's inspired the quiz this week. One of the late bits of correspondence that I said we received, David, actually would fit into this early section of the show. We've had Mike Webster get in touch at MikeWeb58, one of your fellow St Helens fan. He's got in touch about Tag Rugby because he's mentioned that Try Tag Rugby taster sessions are happening in Orrell for the next 2 Mondays ahead of the new season of that competition over the summer. So it's mixed teams that include men and women and old people, he said, like himself. And he said it's great fun without the biff. So yeah, if anyone's interested in those taster sessions that lives in, around or near to Orrell, then what I'll do is I'll pop a link that Mike sent into the episode blog post on superleaguepod.com and into the episode show notes, and then you can go and join Mike and find out if he is actually old or maybe he's exaggerating that, and yeah, give it a crack if you can. Do you want to tell people how they can get in touch like Mike has done, David?
Yes, I will. On social media, it's at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com//Super League Pod. You can email superleaguepod@gmail.com or visit superleaguepod.com to get info on each episode and links to the Google Forms for your fan views that we can share and discuss on the show. And don't forget to subscribe in whatever podcast app you're listening to us on, and leave a rating review if you can.
Yep. Short intro this week. we're going to get into the Challenge Cup match reviews next. Short intro, David, and we might be short chat about some of these games as well. The first game to be played in round 6 of the Challenge Cup was Wigan versus Salford. It was 14-0 to Wigan at half time, and they solidified that to a 20-0 victory by full time. Robert Hicks was the referee. 6,005 was the crowd. We're going to get into talking about crowds pretty much straight away, I think, in the fan views, but no stats on the Challenge Cup. We don't get the same treat on the internet, that on the website for the Rugby League website as we do for the Super League website, so none of that this week, but plenty of fan views and a handful on this game. Do you want to get started with what Stozza had to say?
Absolutely. So at Stozza 1981 said, another embarrassing attendance for an all Super League game, this time at Wigan Warriors RL. Surely it's about time pass holders are given a maximum of 2 free Challenge Cup games and discounts to non-pass holders to boost attendances and revenue. Do you want to talk about crowd things now, Mark, or cut it to the end?
I think we should, because it's quite, illuminating that this was actually the highest crowd of the round.
Yep. Yes,
and we're talking about how embarrassingly low it is.
Yeah, this is the big crowd.
Which is quite shocking, isn't it, in reality?
Yeah. I mean, we're not the only sport where, things have changed when it comes to the main cup competition. And I think you and I have actually talked about this on a previous occasion during a Challenge Cup weekend, Mark. I mean, I think if you look at football, for example, football has relatively poorer crowds for FA Cup weekends and for Carabao Cup weekends than it does for Premier League, and so we're not unique in that sense. I don't think we've done an awful lot to try and find a solution to the problem or to try and improve the crowds, though. Personally, if I think about going to watch my football team, Liverpool, for example, if you go to a Premier League game, go and stand on the Kop, it's £43, something like that, for a ticket to get on the Kop, if you can get one. But if you're going to go to a Carabao Cup game or to
that's the League Cup to the people who don't
League
know
Cup, League Cup. It's been so many things, hasn't it? EFL Cup, I'm not sure now. But if you go to a League Cup or an FA Cup game, it's £17, £20, so less than half price to go to those games. Now, I don't know whether that's the answer for rugby league, but clearly football's trying something. The clubs in football are trying something to try and get the crowds.
So you're saying they're trying that and they're still getting lower attendances?
Yeah.
So we don't have the luxury of wealth on our side that the top football clubs have. Liverpool being one of those top football clubs, and we're talking about only about 8 or 10 football clubs actually probably make money anyway, the amount they spend as well.
Yeah, that's also true.
And it's even less, isn't it, when we get into rugby league in terms of making money, and the margins we talk about are much smaller. I think one of the challenges I'd say here is if we included them in season tickets or season passes, however you call them at your clubs, or memberships or however, if we included them in that as free games, quote unquote, then it does not boost revenue because the people that are most likely to shell out for these cup games are your hardcore supporters that are your season ticket pass holders. And I think that's the balancing act that the clubs have to find, isn't it, with these things? Surely they would be good games for them to run ticketing initiatives to try and get, sort of casual fans or potential new fans or that sort of thing into games. However, then if people turn up and they're only part of a small crowd with a limited atmosphere, will it then make them convinced to go again? It kind of, it's hard. It's really hard thing to
It is.
to work out. I think, the most positive attendances we'll be talking about when we go through them all will be the ones in Cumbria for Championship versus Super League sides, where those sides haven't played very often. Now, they're still not as high as this crowd, which was ridiculously the highest number when it really felt like a non-event crowd to be in it. Also, different clubs don't all make revenues from what happens at their matchday stadium, do they? And Stoz's club and Hull and my club Wigan are two of those. Now, Wigan do make some money through the facility we have right next door, which we have matchday events at and that sort of thing, fan zones, that kind of thing. That does make revenue on a game day, but it's not. I don't know how much scope there is for clubs to reduce ticket prices for the few thousand people that are going to go. If like you say, even in football, less people go when it's a lot cheaper anyway.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Mark. I'm not sure there is an easy solution.
I do think having them maybe included as some sort of add-on to your season ticket package is an idea I've thought of before. So, say as a club, you'd kind of almost gamble in a way on it and say you can have guaranteed your seat tickets to cup games and playoff any cup games and home playoff games for an extra £35 or something like that. I don't know, and that kind of would cover the cost of 3 to 4 kind of tickets on a season ticket kind of revenue basis, of where you're paying, I think it averages out about 13 or 14 quid a game on a season ticket for me, but if I was paying every week, it's 23 quid, 24 quid for the same seat. So you could, it was 20 quid this week for season ticket holders at Wigan, and that was a £2 discount on what they were charging other people to sit in the same seats. So it's not a great discount at all. I thought they might have gone lower, but it'd be a bigger discount if they did some sort of thing. But the issue there would be, it's almost like you're insuring yourself if you have got home games, and if you don't have any home games in the playoffs or the Challenge Cup, then that revenue has been received by the club, but as a fan you haven't received anything back for it. So you probably have to have some sort of rollover element to that, or some sort of merchandise offer off the back of that if you have no home games. So maybe the clubs would have to think of creative packages there, but that's one of the ways I think they could do it. It's an add-on to the season ticket rather than as a freebie, because I don't really think that's going to raise revenues enough for opening up some of these stadiums for these games. The other thing I do think, and I shared a post that our old friend Josh McAllister wrote on Love Rugby League. Obviously, he's full time at Love Rugby League now. People should know that if they go on that website, which we always do. A great opinion piece he wrote, didn't he, about Super League, thinking about bringing Super League clubs into the Challenge Cup earlier. The obvious drawback is the amount of games we already play, but if we take away 1 or 2 Super League games, I don't think people will be crying. People might be more willing to pay on an additional extra for these cup tickets, but also it could mean more Super League teams visiting grounds that they don't go to as often, especially if you gave the lower league team the option of playing at home every time. I think Super League fans, ask the St Helens fans show, turning up to Whitehaven in their numbers in the sunshine on Saturday, would relish that kind of opportunity to go to those grounds that they don't get to go to very often. Whereas, like Stozza said, an all Super League game, and the Warrington Wakefield one was the ultimate of this week, with I don't know, there's probably more people down the local Tesco than there was right now than there was at that game, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need to try something, because it's a shame that a competition which, as we know, the latter stages, the semi-finals and the final, are some of the most exciting games that we see in rugby league during the year. So I think it's